So I'm not going to WhatsApp or SMS or text as I talk about. So I think all of us have played with video in a big way. The consumption that we individually do as consumers is very, very high. Please forgive the operators, they are holy souls, but last 2 days there's networks that sucked here. So that's a different problem, but otherwise generally videos is doing very good. The basic part in all these ways in which we as technologists, brand guys, or consumers, or the ecosystem players want to play with this is to know where exactly the consumer is spending his time on. So I'll ask Aman to try and help us this particularly out in terms of saying that while we talk video big, how do you really see the trend of video from a consumer consumption pattern perspective, which is emerging now?
Okay. So what we have seen, and when I'll be talking largely about YouTube. So what I've seen consumers consuming on YouTube are, if I have to oversimplify all the categories, it's all about current and connecting with passion. So whatever is current, up to date, either in entertainment or movies or TV shows, etc., that's where YouTube plays a big role. And when I say passion, it's about connecting with all those native YouTube creators in any genre. Say cooking is again a big genre which is picking up. Or you want to pick up a language. So that long tail of native creators who are helping consumers connect with their passion.
What's the numbers that you're seeing now from an active user basis or from numbers from actual time spent on your medium?
I'll not be able to give exact numbers. I'll just give a range kind of a thing. So in terms of active reach on a monthly basis, we are seeing anywhere between 55, 60, some months is as high as 70 million as well. In terms of, if you ask me, watch time on YouTube, it's huge, it's humongous. So just to give a context, so we have close to 9,000 hours of watch time every minute. So that's the kind of rate of watch time that we are looking on YouTube.
Brilliant. Ajay, you are recently come with Hotstar, and I think this is the hottest first app which perhaps was less than 10 million in a month. How have you seen the consumption of the consumers from a video time spent here?
No, sure. I think, Milind, first, to your point, I mean, we were quite surprised that the choice that we made was to build it largely as a mobile-first video service, and we've been quite, heartened by fairly massive numbers. Out of the 10 million on mobile that have downloaded in the last 30-35 days, we see about 30 to 40% of them come back every day.
That's very, very high.
And spending roughly 30 minutes a day, which I think at least based on some of the numbers that I've seen, seem like a big shift forward in terms of...
Do you have any competitive analysis of how much YouTube does? I'll be happy to hear that.
I'll leave Aman to reveal those numbers. But 30 minutes a day from what I know is just behind WhatsApp, and WhatsApp is not a video platform. And at least publicly, what I've seen numbers way ahead of Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah, correct. So I think we have about 6.5 hours of daily time spent on this device across emails, calls, messaging, WhatsApp, games, any other utility app. So out of that, if you're doing almost 30 minutes, which is quite a significant chunk. Pankaj, my question to you as a brand guy is, having heard this kind of a consumption pattern, how do you see brands evolving in your medium, which is, if I may call it, a bit traditional and not the new age brands like a Flipkart or a mobile first brand, if I may call it. How do you find adoption on this coming in this medium?
Okay, adoption on mobile, online video as a platform, what I have seen over the last 2 years in brands like such is we are actually creating a lot of content which is, specific to our brands and which we know that our consumers are wanting to consume, right? So we are very sure that we want to create content which, users are planning to consume rather than pushing them what we think is right for them. So that's a clear-cut agenda which we are driving.
But do you see do you see this medium massively consuming advertiser spend? Because even today, if you look at it, specifically mobile would be almost close to 1.5% at best of the total AdX. How much do you spend on mobile video?
I wouldn't talk about mobile video per se, but I can
Or
talk
digital.
about I can talk about what kind of spends we are doing on
No, on a video as a category.
especially on video as a category. If I can talk about last 4-5 campaigns, we have actually done 80% of our investments on video.
Oh, that's very nice.
Yeah, and we are seeing that
All you digital marketeers, he's the most sought out after guy after this event. 80%.
Yeah, and we are very clear that this is the way forward. Content and video is what we are actually looking at. So 80% is what we are doing.
For Pocket, this must be a very music 2 years, right? Video 2 years or music 2 years?
I think 80, you even discount it by 50% with all brands, and we'll be like happy like anything.
But, I mean, let me delve a little bit more detail in this. I think formats, you have a beautiful app. There are always these points of incentivized, non-incentivized. That's a different issue. But from a consumption pattern and from a brand perspective, where do you see the brands spending more there?
No, as in our understanding, where we both have users and we speak to brands a lot, what we've learned is there is a lot of times people want to do stuff on mobile video and are clueless because they just get wavered that certain things are happening, certain are not happening. TV continues to be their sort of bread and butter, if I may say, in a spends perspective. But that's changing, and if you can bring a user journey perspective where the user is happy and the brands love to take a user's view, I think that's where the current models are fitting in, where they're saying, okay, you have certain capabilities built in, user is ready to watch a video, and you can still manage the inefficiencies on the telco side. You are probably giving a good solution.
Telcos are inefficient. Harsh, I come to you. This is a tweetable point. Whosoever is tweeting attributed to Pocket, he says telcos are inefficient. Nevertheless, the point is that I think all the talk that I do with Aman or Raji or you or anyone, either offline or on the panel, I have not been able to find a solution to a particular challenge that I have faced myself in the long journey on digital side is, why do people who advertise on television don't advertise big time on digital medium when it comes to video? What do you, in your view, could be those 2 or 3 points that you would like us to do or you would like to do at the operator side, which will help us grow this? See, imagine even if you are able to move 5% of the business on TV, on this medium, you're talking of multi-million-dollar spends, where today we are fraction. I mean, we are a rounding error, if I may call it. What would you want us to do? What can you do as an operator?
You have asked a lot of questions in that.
No, one question. Spend कैसे बढ़ाएं, sir? ये बता दो. How do I increase the spend on mobile video or digital video, if I may?
Yeah, I think, so I've got various answers running into my head, starting from what Weber was said, and I don't want to go into that direction about access medium being efficient or inefficient, and there are various numbers. If we search it on the internet, we know how the consumptions have been growing in India, how the network has grown, 3G networks have grown. I mean, today, 3G is 3 years old, really speaking, but the way consumption is increasing is, let me tell you this at a broad level. Other than some of the networks which are about to come in, which are going to be empty-ish, without naming the networks, I know from talks within this thing that the way consumption is growing, we increase the capacity and it starts getting filled up. Just to give you a flavor of, some small flavor at industry level, and that 2 years ago, all of us, we know 1 GB pack, 2 GB pack on mobile, etc. 1 GB pack would have a consumption of approximately 50-60%. Today it is touching 95 to 98%. People are consuming, and they've become very smart. My view is also that we have not been able to figure out conclusively, but there's a lot of back-end data which is being consumed by a lot of apps now that they're there because of smarter phones.
So are you saying that better, improved data experience will also help and give confidence to the ecosystem to spend more? Is that one trigger
Yeah,
that you would want to say?
that's one.
Second, would you like to give any other trigger?
Second, I think the video technologies, and we're talking video, so
Yeah.
video technologies have to evolve to be much better in the compression size. Could be one technology. I mean, there's a lot of work which is happening for specifically not only in India but also other developing countries. There's a lot of focus, Milind, on caching technologies, whether efficient, non-efficient. At least the user experiences are getting better. Because it's a journey. You can't wait for something to happen and then we will plan things out. So I think these are the two things from
So
the
basically,
content side.
solid technology and better bandwidth is what
Yeah.
you say is saying. So, since you touched technology, and that's a very, very interesting point, Aman, my question to you is, you come from a very strong technology Google background. Have you seen any trends which are a bit more different? We talk programmatic in a big way across display. Are you seeing that being spoken about on the video side of the space, or what other technical innovations do you see happening in that domain?
See, the technical innovation comes from the need that exists in the market, right? So, in India in particular, I will give an example. Access is a challenge, right? So, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, that YouTube has a feature called offline. So you can actually, when you're in a network area or you have access to internet, you can actually download a video and it stays on your phone. It stays with you for 24 hours and consumer can consume that content later on in his dead time.
Very interesting point. I was just met someone, one of the partners here. I don't want to take a name because it would be unfair on the panel, but I met someone who was actually having a caching of his video ad in an app. And when you would actually open that app later, a beautifully cached video at a very high HD quality would play. So even if you're on a no network or even if you're on a 2G, that whole thing would be played. So
That's right.
is that getting really powerful and popular?
So that is becoming powerful because consumer, it's great for consumer. He is able to consume the content of his choice wherever he wants. It's great for the brand because you can even still play an ad in that particular content. And it's great for, I think, network as well as its utilization goes up because people are able to download more content. So, the other insight which YouTube has seen is the insight on consumer going cross-media, where consumer is accessing content through all sorts of screens, be it TV or be it phone or be it from your tablets. So how that content gets rendered across those display screens seamlessly. So that is another one which technology innovation has been done.
I asked you before, but I would like to try and bring your attention to it. What about programmatic video platforms? Do you see people trying to specialize, or it's too niche? Because, you know, numbers say that by 2020, almost 55% of the traffic would be on video advertising.
Right.
So do you see this moving in that direction?
So the trend definitely is consumers consuming more and more video content on internet. How programmatic will fly is when brands start investing in programmatic. If you're asking me if that's the future, definitely, because it gives you clear-cut indication of the audience, how audience buy, from a brand point of view. Today, it's very, very nascent in the country. Not most brands are aware of how programmatic works. The billing probably is not happening in the local currency of the country. So those are the barriers which are stopping programmatic to fly. But yes, programmatic is something which more evolved advertisers or brands will go after once they understand the power of the platform.
Hey, Ajay, your content is not on YouTube. Is it there?
I think it's a good segue for me to make a different point, Milind.
No, if you could answer this question and then take a point, I'll be
actually,
fine.
some of our really
It's a democratic medium, so YouTube,
old
non-YouTube
content
is...
there. 20-year-old content is there on YouTube.
Oh, fantastic.
And that's the point that I wanted to make. I think the question that you asked, why has television money not moved to digital? Or what will be the drivers for video advertising? I think we would be making a mistake if we're thinking about it as a technology solve. I think technology has a huge role to play, But I have a much better answer. The reason why the market hasn't grown is because there was no one in the market shaping it. Content is going to drive it. Ultimately, and the big difference in view that I have is, not all content is democratic. Not all content is the same. There is a hierarchy to content. And some stories are better stories. And for me, the reason why the shift to video advertising hasn't happened is, although I think YouTube has done a tremendous job in shaping this ecosystem, largely on the web, far less on the mobile. Ultimately, I mean, YouTube, I think, is a place for all kinds of content to be there, and its challenge is what really works for it. There are 9,000 hours of content or a few billion minutes being uploaded every minute. I think the big opportunity for us is if you can create the kind of stories that Indians want to see, what they've been listening to, maybe evolving from where it's on television, but premium content told by the best storytellers on digital. I see that as the big opportunity to shape consumption.
So you are saying you will never be on YouTube?
No, I don't think it's about being on YouTube or not. I think we already have Hotstar, and people are coming in and saying if we are spending 30 minutes per day compared to 4 or 5 minutes per day that they were doing in the past, I think they are affirming that they're ready for it. I agree with Harsh about, the telcos need to make a lot more investments. And to be honest, with all the constraints that they have, I think they've done a good job. Yeah. And they will continue to invest more. But the big shift will be if you can put the right kind of content on a mobile screen in front of people, and at least it's very early for Hotstar, but 1 month's data tells me that people are saying, I'm happy to spend more time despite data being expensive, despite all the issues in terms of access to data. If you put the right content in front of me, I'll be there.
But on a platform level, you and YouTube are slightly different. I think you're more followed, you're more a programmed content or a programming content play, and they are more, they are also in some way, but they're also a lot of self-generated. So my question to you on this particular part is, how do you think this programming of content which is really emerging, and how has been your experience with Hotstar? Is it really flying?
It is, and I guess I think the best way is to look at how many minutes are users spending on a day. And if you're looking at 30 minutes for sports over the last 2 years, we saw time spent of 45 minutes per match. That's kind of the time that they're starting
That's massive.
to spend. Yeah.
Do they know how much data bill they're paying and how much data is taking from them?
I wonder Hush will know if his consumers know that. But I would worry about sort of saying user-generated, programmed. I think content has a hierarchy. There are some stories that are great, and I don't think telling a great story is going to come on the cheap. So whether it's us or whether it's YouTube, it will still be about, can you attract the best storytellers to come to your platform?
Brilliant. Guys, CPM is going to be high when he starts charging on that inventory. Coming to one more specific point on the content bit. Do you see the prime time changing? And it's a very subtle question, but it could be a very impactful, because we are used to saying, Pankaj had raised this point, I'm used to spending 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. in the night.
So here's and I know, Milind, you're trying to get me fired, but here's
I'm not trying to get you fired.
Two things. I think what you're really asking is television still relevant? Is appointment viewing on? Look at the numbers. I think it's still very relevant. The large numbers of people, 200, 300 million people showing up at a particular time, still happens on television. For me, the interesting opportunity is if you look at how much time people spend on entertainment. In a market like the US, they spend 7 hours a day. In India, it's close to 3 hours a day. So for me, what it shows is that there is tremendous opportunity to grow time spent both on television and on digital if you're able to get the content right. I don't think it's about one or the other. It's about saying if there's an appetite for content consumption that is currently underserved, and if you're willing to serve that, this growth can be dramatic for all of us.
And it could be all round. Pankaj, what's your view on this?
My views are, I think any time is prime time when it comes to digital video.
Very interesting way to look at it, right? So that means you're always on, you are willing to invest.
Absolutely. You cannot be, restricting yourself that, my prime time on digital is only 8.
But in any way, internet or mobile was always a medium where there was no I know of no plan which were given based on 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. plan and 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. plan. I don't think we ever gave plans like this. It was a common CPM plan all along.
And I would want to continue that way. You know, I really want to see.
How I wish I would want to charge you for prime time. No.
Sorry, brother, it's not happening.
Okay. No, but so you also believe that this always on will work?
Has to be. That's the way forward. I mean, you cannot be, saying that it is only 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. It is basis what consumer is consuming, what time it is he's or she is consuming. It is not because I have decided this is my prime time, because it has been thought for last 30, 40 years that prime time is 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. It is not. It has changed. It is basis what consumer is consuming. If she is consuming at 10 a.m. in the morning, that's prime time.
What do you see more when you actually spend on this medium? You want to go for efficiency, you want to go for effectiveness, you want to go for views, you want to give for completed views,
Okay.
skipped views.
Okay. So, that's my really, really personal view. Okay. Efficiency is really important, but that cannot be the measure of success. Okay?
Affiliate guys, be careful. This guy's not.
Yeah, I'm effectiveness. How effectively you're targeting your audience is more important than bringing your efficiencies down. Rather, buying at 50 paisa or 1 rupee or 2 rupees, it is important. But priority-wise, effectiveness, how I'm targeting my audience. Let's say if I want to target specific audience on food category, I do not want to just go overall and bring my efficiency down. Of course, I need to bring my efficiency down. But effectiveness is more important than efficiency, at least in my views.
Harsh, not from a advertising expert that you are within Tata Docomo, but as a brand Tata Docomo, you are very close to mobile telephony or digital in a way. How have you experimented on this medium? Does anything come to your mind when it comes to using this medium more effectively for a brand? Be it Docomo or be it for TTSL or whichever.
Okay, so
Let's try and put you to test.
sorry.
Let's try and put you to test. As a mobile marketeer, have you also as brand tried to use that across in some way?
Yes, so I think there are enough case studies and talks about how Tata Docomo has gone out and established itself in online communities, and that I think that we started this journey much earlier than anyone else and took it very strongly. Yes, we stuck. There was not much of democracy that we followed there. I mean, not much of spreading it across. We picked our bets. We went on to social communities, and I think we understood that somewhere it's going to, in a long-term value, it's going to create for us that there have been some researches some 7-8 years ago where it said that an online community of a brand helps new products from that brand to be adopted much faster than that of other brand. So there are some researches, some PhD guys have done that, and which we came up. No, not 2 years ago. We didn't come across that. It was just a gut feel. So we experimented a lot. We have gone and experimented on. It's one of the most available or most active brands from telco point of view. Not in terms of banner advertising, maybe, or this thing. Moving, you know it, and all of us we have spoken earlier that mobile advertising is something that we thought was very something that we wanted to bet on. We went out and created a new independent unit. We are monetizing that. We are presenting video opportunities out there in an operator agnostic manner. So that's the kind of flavor we're trying to see across the spectrum. We also
you and both Pocket has done incentivized advertising in some way.
Yeah.
How has been the uptake of that on the brand side, both on the video? I mean, my question is more from the video perspective and not from a banner perspective. Maybe he can answer and then maybe you could take it from there. Yeah.
No, I think whereas incentivized at times sounds to be a bad word, but
I love incentives which comes once a year. I'm sorry, it's
yeah.
not a bad word.
No, but to add,
Who says?
user happiness is and if you say the reward is gratifying the user and he becomes happy, as you're saying the incentive once a year, brands love it. If you it just needs explanation in a slightly better way, because as I said earlier, user journey, and now if you make it user opt-in, it just works.
So have you actually experimented with people viewing a video and hence getting incentivized? Have you done that?
Absolutely, that's what we've been doing. Yeah.
And that's actually how has been the statistics post the incentivization? So is there any difference between any uninstalls or from a regular organic growth versus incentivized? Have you seen any differences?
Yes, fundamentally, yes, there is a difference. However, if I say it compensates, so when the user is happy, he tends to do even that typical call to action post the video also efficiently. So it is whether you are throwing, as in the way we look at it, whether you are throwing or whether he's opting in. And no one of us likes when it's thrown out to us as advertising, whereas when you opt in, it's always preferable.
Optim is always preferable. As a brand guy, Pankaj, would you like to advertise on such a medium? Would you want to be more on a pure play branding side?
Okay. As a brand, I would want my content to work rather than incentivize users. Okay.
Could you give me an example of it? So when you say any of your product where you have created a content and that has kind of worked.
Okay.
Or if you have not done it, any of the case study that you have come across.
No, okay, so during 15th August, we created this video content, Freedom is When, and how Godrej as a brand has been associated with freedom, not just 1947 freedom, but freedom in a various range, okay? And we created a content piece which was a good 2-minute of video. And within a day, it picked up so well, and we didn't have to actually, do incentivize or buy users to, and, everyone is talking about the sexy thing, which is, how many million video views you guys have got, okay? Everyone want to see that. But here is an example wherein content made sense and users actually picked it up. So I would rather want my content to work, okay, rather than giving users that incentive. I mean, it works. I'm not saying it doesn't work, but priority-wise, if you ask me, content should work.
Okay, brilliant. I'm seeing that's about just 9 minutes left, so I'm just going to ask to all the 5 guys, I'm going to use one word, which is 2 words, sorry, video advertising, and I want you to just talk about what you view of it in the future in 1 word.
In 1 word.
In 1 word, okay. So, Aji, for you, what does video advertising mean for the future? 1 word.
It's the future. Future is the word.
Future. For you, Harsh.
It's scalable.
Scalable. Pankit?
Content.
Sorry?
Content.
Content.
Growth.
Growth. YouTube.
Democratic.
No, I vehemently disagree with you on democracy, but okay, we'll discuss this offline. Friends, I open this for questions in the audience. I see a hand here in the first. And if you could just keep the question short and to the point, that would be great.
Sure. So I'm Ruksh Chatterjee. I run Comely's India business. So question to Ajit. Thanks for almost axiomatically laying out, the fact that content has a hierarchy. I think the one question, and maybe other people can also answer this, is how do you see monetization work in the current ecosystem where currently, premiumness isn't given quite the premiumness that it should get in terms of pricing?
No, I think it's a very valid question. And for me, in all of this, I think, if you have compelling content, you will be able to, bring in the people, engage them. And I think one of the areas where all of us who are either running platforms or managing content are still shaping, especially on a mobile screen, is how do we translate all of that to deliver effectiveness for brands and advertisers? Whether it is to build a brand on a given day, whether it is to drive sale of a product on a day. I do think we are just scratching the surface of what is the possible range of innovation. And I think we are still looking at it in a slightly segmented fashion, kind of saying web or mobile, performance or brand. I do think once we accept that most Indians are going to be on a mobile, They still find content very compelling. They're going to come in large numbers. I think then it's to solve for, from a technology and a product point of view, how do we gear it towards delivering different things for advertisers based on what they're looking for on that particular day? Because I think most brands have become large, complex, diverse. Their objectives vary from a day-to-day basis. And I'm not sure whether, at least, we are 1 month old, we find that there's a huge, exciting opportunity to shape innovation around the audience we are getting to deliver value to advertisers. But I agree with you. I think we are just starting to scratch that sort of roadmap.
Yeah, I'd like
Aman,
to-
you'd like to
Yeah,
take
I'd like to take that question. I have slightly different point of view on that, where you say that the premium content is not getting a premium price today in today's market. I disagree with that because see, the market decides the premiumness of the content. The more the premium content, more people are watching it. More the people are watching it, more the brands are asking for a spot on that content. And accordingly, as per the demand and supply, the price of, or the premiumness of that content, or the ask price of that content to show your ad goes up. So today, again, it's the market which is deciding the price versus one person deciding the price of the content. So that's the kind of balance that
I
we
have
to look
a
at.
I have a slightly different view than both of the gentlemen around here, and which I think even Ajit to some extent agrees with me, and we've whispered in each other's ears on this, which is, I think it's also the way we sell. I don't think it's them. I think it's us in the ecosystem who sell it, right? We try and always do an easy sell, right? I think if we sell better and not sell it as, it's an ROI medium, it's a performance medium, and this and that, it will always remain a challenge. So I think it's up to us as the sales guys in the ecosystem who need to slightly sell it better. Brands would, the story of 50% of the consumers being here doesn't need to be proven anymore. It's about how you actually do the impact there. Any other question, please? I see a lady raising a hand here.
I'm Hita from Digital Market Asia. My question is, when you're talking about the emergence of on-demand video, isn't the effectiveness of advertising taking a hit because this time we cannot put any data into play in terms of what time your ad is going? Because now with on-demand, the time is decided by the user. The user has that flexibility of deciding when he or she wants to watch that content. So isn't the science or the data which you put behind sending out your advertisement on a television, is that kind of concept goes away when you're looking for video on mobile?
So I think Pankaj answered that point in a very brief manner. For the quickness of, I'll try and answer it, which is appointment viewing, which was a traditional TV concept, isn't going to happen on-demand, and people will focus on anytime advertising, and that's where your intelligent platform-based buying, or programmatic buying, or planned buying, if I may call it, would take into the picture and would actually throw the relevant ads to the audience as and when he is consuming his content. So it's all-time, prime time, anytime important time is what the market will go over. Pankaj, anything else you would like to add? Oh, that's it, yeah. Anyone else? I see two hands going there behind.
Hi, my name is Rahul. I lead sales for Yumi in India. So my question to the brand guys and YouTube and Hotstar is, do you think video should be purchased on programmatic way? Since it's we're talking about premiumness and obviously high quality digital content. So do you think it should be on programmatic platforms to be purchased? And what do you think about that? Like, what's the future?
Okay, Rahul, programmatic buying in India is like teenage sex, okay? Everyone is talking about it, no one knows how to do it. So that's where programmatic buying
Bang on, I agree with you. Even I don't know
Yeah.
about it.
So that's where we are. I mean, we should do it, but we are definitely not even touched the surface.
You're talking about programmatic, right?
So, a slight variant of it. If you look at YouTube, and Hotstar, I think both of them would come closest to something what we can call it as a programmatic direct, if I may call it, in some way. Aman? So you could buy audiences on YouTube. You could buy audiences on Hotstar if you want to, but if you have to go to an exchange and buy across all, Right now in India, perhaps it's not ready. Yeah. Yeah, volume is very, very small.
Hey, hi, this is Karthik here. I head partnerships for APAC, again from Yumi. My question is, with respect to what you were saying about how effective guys can sell, with respect to the way things are viewed across, outside of India, people focus on viewability and having the...
We can't hear you. Can you
Okay.
just...
So people look at performance on videos based on the completion rates and viewability, right? But in India, it's still the CTRs. That's. Is it because of the performance thing that we don't want to let go of, or I mean, probably Aman will be, taking a. You can take on that and.
That's a very good question. Actually, what's happening in the industry is with so many video platforms coming in, they all have their own set of metrics to measure what a successful view is, or how do we measure video if we have to measure it in terms of performance. So yes, that's a gap which needs to be fulfilled by the industry, where we have a common set of metrics or benchmarks. Again, if you ask on YouTube, we have seen shift happening more and more towards views, towards reach, where people are taking video and using these metrics to measure video.
I think a slightly larger point to make, and I agree with Aman. I think I'm not sure whether there's been enough thought that has gone into establishing the currency. It's a very new medium, at least in video. Largely, it was a one-player medium that has, changed in the last month. I do think a lot of us, both on the platform side and on the brand side, have to spend a lot of time sitting together to understand what actually are the right metrics to measure, both from a consumption point of view and delivering value to brands that makes sense for the next 5-10 years. I think, again, it's very young. I would really stay away from assuming that the metrics are in place. I think the currency really has to be established.
With programmatic kicking in, right, you tend to see a slide in the CPMs, right, and you connect it always back to the performance. So, I mean, you still stating that it is young. I mean, what do you think is the timeline? When do we set this?
I agree with you. I think there's a huge need for urgency. I mean, I think for Pankaj and Harsh, they have to solve their needs today. But I would just sort of urge that when we think of the currency, there's still a lot of effort that needs to be put in, and especially because video consumption still hasn't really taken off. And I think to his question earlier, I don't think we have figured out how do you translate that into delivering different kinds of value for advertisers. That's the only point I'm making.
So I think we have already overshot time on the point that till yesterday there was one. Now there are multiple video players in India. I call this session...
I'm so sorry, I'm interrupting in between. Yeah, here I am. Yeah. A last question, if I'm permitted
You
to do so.
interjected a moderator. I will not
I know.
forgive you
I'm
for
so
this.
sorry. I'm so sorry for that. But that's a very relevant question, and that's the reason I thought, let me interrupt you there. My question is very straightforward, and that's...
Kaun hai ye aadmi?
You're talking to me,
Naam to
right?
batao, yaar.
Yeah, okay. My name is Lokesh.
Okay, Lokesh.
And my question is to Harsh. See, whatever we are talking, attributions, video, and stuff like that. So, to an extent, I differ from what Ajit said that, our telcos in India have done a decent job. They have not done it. Right? And I'm so sorry for being blunt. And see, what we are benchmarking ourselves is, what we were 3 years or 4 years back, right? I'm myself a telco guy, so I know the ins and outs, and that's the reason, I'm...
So Harsh, now you ask me.
Yeah?
Bittu,
Yeah.
kaun hai ye aadmi? Kaun hai ye aadmi?
Yeah, thanks.
So sorry, what's your question again?
I'm giving you the background to that. Yeah. So my question is that why do we always? So when I talking about the performance of telcos here in India,
I have to ask Vikas to serve coffee inside now.
Yeah, sure. So no, because if you won't let me speak, right? I would. Yeah. So let's save some time there, please. Yeah. Thank you. So. Yeah, okay. No, this is not an
sorry,
offline
just
question.
one quick question.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I have an instruction from Vikas to take it offline.
Done.
Please.
So
Yeah, sorry.
I really expect not to be interrupted. Yeah, thank you. So my question is that, why do we want, a company like Reliance to come up and, shake up the telco this thing? So Reliance initially did it, right? Where they came up with 500 this thing. Eventually the pricing went down, right? So whatever we are talking here, again Reliance Jio is coming up, and then, telcos are shaping themselves up. Now, whatever we talk about, when we are talking about, video on mobile, whatever kind of a quality content you create, until unless you give that content the right platform to be served. So the bottom line here is the network. Right, we may do whatever content and this thing. So my question is very specific. So what is that Tata in itself is doing to increase the capabilities of the network capabilities? Because till the time you do it, whatever we may do it. So we are Indians, we are like very adjustable. We'll still adjust with whatever bandwidths limited.
So your question is what the telcos are doing to improve the network, right? That's your question.
True.
I answer it right now. There is a spectrum buying which is happening. Once the spectrum is bought, they are focusing on 800 megahertz, which should improve the quality of the network at a 2G level. That should give a better bandwidth. I really appreciate your long question. I gave a short answer. I think you can talk to Harsh in a break. Guys, thank you very much. Appreciate your time.